Well, good morning, and thanks for staying with us here on Market Day Report. As we move to the second half of the year, many farmers evaluating their leasing strategy and beginning to prepare for fall negotiations. Accredited farm manager, good friend Chad Hertz joins us now with some guidance for this process. Chad, always a pleasure. Thanks for being here. So we know that farmland owners are thinking about leasing their land. What should they be thinking about, really, to position themselves for a successful lease negotiation?
Well, the first opportunity is to communicate, both as a team. How are you going to create win-win? And the most important thing that a landowner can do is look at how they can make their farm the most farmable, the most in terms of drainage tile, in terms of conservation, in terms of farmability, and putting that farm in the best position for the farmer's operation so that it increases its value to them. From the farmer standpoint, is explaining to the landowner what that value means and coming to an agreement on how to balance that. So we think drainage tile is a pretty big deal, at least in the Midwest. If you're dealing more in the irrigated areas, making sure those systems are up to speed. Landowners and farmers should be educated on what land is going for and the market rents so that they can negotiate together in a win-win fashion. And the biggest part is probably to start the conversation and find out how everybody's doing financially and where the pressures are coming from.
Yeah, Chad, I like that you keep saying win-win. This really is a partnership. It is a win for the farmland owner and for the farmer coming in. You want the best possible outcome for both. Common mistakes maybe that you see that farmland owners make when thinking about a leasing strategy. I mean, maybe something that they need to avoid when it comes to strategizing for next year.
Yeah, from an investment standpoint, from a land ownership standpoint, it's all about how the land appreciates and holds its value. It's a long-term asset. So the biggest mistake first is not communicating and building a relationship. The second becomes focusing on the short term. There are lots of one-year leases, but you need to think about a multi-year relationship that you adjust things annually so you can be responsive to each other's needs. And the third big mistake is to work only on what's the highest cash rent and the most somebody can pay and the most somebody can receive. There's a lot that happens on the farm in that relationship and with that long-term asset that could create more win-win if we move past just the total dollar amount rented and 1 year.
Yeah. Relationships, of course, profit for both sides. Let's talk about some of the challenges we're seeing right now. Look, we're talking about commodity prices, farm profitability, both under pressure. How should landowners go about balancing? They want to maximize their income, but they also want to maintain that strong tenant relationship. How do they balance this?
Yep. Staying educated and informed of where the market's at helps both parties. When one has an upper hand in information, that creates a mistrust situation. But let's find out where the financial pressures are for an individual farmer. Is it the higher input costs? Is it marketing? Is it just their financial structure? And certain things a landowner can be responsive to, and other things they can't be, and they have to be wide open. So understanding where the pressure is coming from, and then working together to address those and thinking about multi-year as opposed to just the most for 1 year.
Yeah. The ramp-up process, when we know that we're going to be leasing out our land, how far in advance do people really need to start acting on this and getting their land ready?
Depends on the state you're in. In the state of Iowa, for example, September 1 is a cutoff to say, hey, I want to negotiate rent. And you need to sort of proper notice. Various states have various dates, so knowing what those are and starting the intent to, hey, let's talk. Yeah. And then talk through what that looks like. In regards to land improvements, you've got to time it so when the crop is out and before it gets put back in the next year. So now is a good time to start getting acquainted on what's happening, where things are coming from, start studying the markets. We've had some volatility in the markets. They've been a little better, and then we dropped suddenly. So it's not as potentially dark as everybody thinks. And at least here in the Midwest, from a row crop perspective, we're looking at a pretty good growing season. So there's some optimism that way.
All right, great stuff. As always, Chad, thank you so much for joining us. Chad Hertz with the American Society of Farm Managers and Rural Appraisers.